you want to go full have your baby?
That's TMI. Absolutely,
Yeah.
shot out into the
Yeah.
water.
Hi guys, welcome back. Hi, if you're new, I'm Bethany, and this is my husband. And we just had a baby, our little girl, Adeline. So today we're going to share our birth story. We're very excited, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
Yes, we are.
We got the notes, got the timeline, because it has been a few weeks now.
Yeah,
More
9
than
weeks.
a few. 9.
9 weeks.
We're finally getting around to doing this. So yeah, let's just dive right in. Might be some background noises because somebody's awake at the moment. So we'll see how far we get without interruption.
Alright, let's start. And now. What happened on the day?
Okay, so
It was a Wednesday.
It was Wednesday. I was 40 weeks and 3 days. I was outside hanging washing. I started to feel some little niggles. And then, just for context, I had some Braxton Hicks for a few days. Actually, the night of my due date, which was this Sunday night, I had my first Braxton Hicks. Was sitting here on the couch watching Star Wars. That was interesting. So I had Braxton Hicks for that day, next day, hoping things were going to kick off. And then surely enough they did. So it was around 12 or 12:30 p.m. hanging washing. I was actually listening to Birth Story podcast. So I was ready. I was in the zone.
Yeah.
And then what's your first memory?
Well, I was working from home that day, that whole week, because we knew that it was imminent. But anyway, it was around lunchtime, so I came into the kitchen just to make myself some lunch. And I think you were eating, and you were like, after you ate, you were saying that you felt a bit more pain than the Braxton Hicks had been. You know, because the Braxton Hicks was just pressure, but
tightening,
you'd feel it, but you wouldn't experience any pain or what have you.
Yeah.
So that was sort of when you said, it's progressing. But because it was so early, we were still quite, it could have just been a few, that had a bit of pain associated with it. So.
And we should also, explain now, just for context as well, if you haven't seen my previous video, that we had a home birth. So at no point are we thinking about when we have to go to hospital or anything. That's why we were pretty chill the whole time. I was sort of in the mindset of, I just want to take my time, know that it could take a while, my body's gonna do what it's gonna do, and just to ease in and not panic or anything, I also just wanted to be sure that this was it, because I know a lot of first time mums sort of jump the gun sometimes or think things are what they're not. So but I definitely knew once it had been pretty consistent, and I started timing them as well, and that's when I was like, okay, I need to tell you and bring you in. So you were in on it. Then, you contacted one of our midwives.
Yeah.
Hey.
So just to give background to the whole home birth story, if you haven't watched, we had 2 midwives, which we engaged.
I didn't really explain it in my previous video.
To be part of the birth. So in Australia, at least, you have to have 2 midwives that are registered to be at the birth. Again, just safety and all that, which was quite reassuring. So we had 2 contacts, and we, at the time, I thought, I'd just keep them updated, because we knew that your mum had pretty quick labours, and so it wasn't, and they knew that as well, because we'd seen them a few times before. So rather than waiting until too late, because we do know that they also have other appointments,
some might be driving a longer way.
Might be all over the place. So I did contact our midwife just to say, and they were asking, is she able to talk through them, or is she, does she need to focus whilst having a contraction? And it wasn't at that point yet.
At that time, it was a little bit painful, but I could definitely just breathe through it and go about stuff.
But even
just for a little bit. Yes, so that was kind of the start, the onset of labour.
Yeah.
Then active labour started about 2 o'clock, which looking back is what we've all decided. So that's when I really had to focus each contraction or surge. I like calling them surges. Let's call them surges.
Let's call them surges. We should then also explain that we did a hypnobirthing course before we went into labour and before we went through the birth, because we knew that
We can do another whole video on preparation.
we will. Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
But we knew that being a home birth, we didn't have access to an epidural or the gas or you know
that sort of traditional.
pain pain relief that you would in the hospital, which is fine. But we obviously wanted to be prepared.
Yeah, find our own toolbox. Get our own tools.
Just to make sure we're not going in sort of blind. So, but anyway, so
then,
part of that is calling it surges.
Yes. So 2 o'clock. I also had this whole little plan. I wanted to braid my hair before. I wanted to clean the bathroom. That was on my list. Didn't manage to do that. I started cleaning the bathroom a little bit, and then very quickly I realized, nah, I can't. I need to sit, or I need to just like rest. Like it was starting to get quite intense already. So that was probably 2ish, and then you probably contacted Meg again.
Yeah, so around I think 2:30, I called her again. And she had been in a different appointment. At this point, she saw that it wasn't too bad yet. She'll just finish that appointment and then start heading over to us. But then she also notified our other midwife, who then called me about 5 minutes later. And we went into a bit more detail about exactly what Bethany was looking like during the surges, what she was sounding like, and I mentioned that she did need a focus at this point when the surges were coming up, and I think it might have just been before we put the TENS machine on, but it was where she couldn't really talk through it.
Yes.
So she said, look, she's about 3 hours away. Yeah, so she said, look, she's going to cancel her appointment. She's going to jump in the car and start heading our way, just in case. So, yeah.
And so I didn't know any of that because I was just kind of getting in my zone. And at this point, I'd come into the living room here, and I was just kind of on the exercise ball. That's where I first just felt like going to, I guess. And I was using my combs, had my 2 wooden combs in my palms. That was one of the techniques we learnt. So I was just focusing on that and kind of just on the ball. And then I alternated between kind of going down and leaning on the ball and then back on top. And I also then started using the TENS machine. Probably, a couple hours in, I think I wrote down.
Yeah, you can probably go into more detail about everything we used, like you said before. So if that's something that's of interest, probably just let Bethany know. And
yeah. So I think 3 p.m. is when I started using the TENS. So I'd been in active labour for about an hour. And then I was like, okay, I think this is a good time. I was told to use it not too late in, but also not when it was very manageable. So that was good. And at this time, you were starting to set up the pool.
Yeah, so at home birth, we also wanted it to be in the water with a birth pool at home. So knowing that that takes a little while to set up, because it was an inflatable pool basically, and obviously filling anything with any pool with that much liquid takes a while. So I started doing that. Our midwife also checked up the one that was on her way to make sure that that was in progress. All the while Bethany was in the living room going through her contractions, so I ran back and forth. Surges. Ran back and forth to try and be there during the surge to comfort her.
I would call him, I'd be like,
and then
coming!
go back and finish pumping up or what have you.
Eventually I just gave up. I just let him do that, and I was like, nah, it's alright. I'm used to this now. I know what it feels like.
You worked out the TENS machine so you could do that when you needed to. So I think around 4:15, 4:20, our midwife actually showed up. So that was good.
Yeah, and I was still here, but soon after I moved over to our kind of meals dining area where we set up, because it's tile, so that's why we were going to have the pool.
Yeah.
So that was.
And there was also a camp mattress that I think our midwife had suggested to pump up, and that she could go over and just lie down. Yeah, so, she wanted that rather than going on the bed and potentially, because her waters hadn't broken.
No, so I'm not sure exactly what motivated me to move. I don't really remember.
Maybe maybe it was her.
Yeah, maybe.
Because
my back. I remember my back had hurt a little bit. Also, before that, I'd thrown up, so I threw up
a few times
while I was in this area.
Yeah. Or caught.
Yeah.
Caught in Tupperware. or whatever. So
we don't
that's
need all the
fine.
details, but yeah. So obviously my body was getting ready and getting prepared for
Yeah.
doing all of that. It wasn't too bad. I just I mean, it wasn't fantastic, but like
No.
it
Well, it was
just
what needed to
something.
happen. So
Yeah,
don't think
So,
your
yeah.
spirits were too.
that was
hindered
alright.
by
It was something to do. You
Yeah.
know, active. So then moved over to the room, and I was on the cat mattress for probably, what do you reckon, like
A few hours, couple of hours.
not a couple
Other
hours.
midwife showed up probably around what time?
Shortly after I moved, so that was like 5:30.
Oh yeah.
5:30 p.m. So at this point I'd been in labour for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was already getting quite
Yeah, you progressed fairly quickly, and but also because you did the hypnobirthing, you were internalizing a lot of that and dealing with that pain like that. So the midwives were quite unaware, I would say, of how far or how painful their surgeries are. And we talked about it afterwards, but she was saying that did throw them off initially, because I was seeing her obviously progress from what it had been to what it is now, and saying it's quite substantially worse. But they see all sorts of women, and a lot of them channel the pain differently. So
like might be more vocal.
Yeah,
or
more
not.
vocal, and
I was
and
like,
it's all just different ways. And she was very much internalizing.
I was doing the breathing into the nose, out through the
So
nose.
for a while they were just thinking, yeah, we're pretty early on, you know. There was no real.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that if I was gonna use vocal technique, like use sounds, which I thought I would more because
Yeah.
I'm a singer and you know, I like talking. Anyway,
Yeah.
I thought I would, but I just held on to the breathing as long as I could because I thought, you know, I can always make more sounds if I really need to.
Yeah.
That's also why I didn't get in the pool straight away.
Yeah, I was gonna say a big part of your strategy and our strategy was delaying certain pain relief until it was necessary, and then moving on to sort of the next level. So, for example, she started off with just holding the cones, not going onto the TENS machine too early until she felt that was, you know, reached her threshold. So we went onto the TENS machine, and then again she stayed on that until we
Until I got in the pool, pretty much.
until she had to go lie down.
I'm still using the TENS.
I know.
Oh,
I'm
you
saying
mean
that's
added.
a different, that's a different way of dealing with the pain. We'll get to the pool, but yeah.
So then eventually at some point I had to, probably our midwife suggested I get up to pee.
Yeah, well, I think our midwife suggested we could jump in the pool, or you could jump in the pool.
Oh yes, that's right.
But-
And at that point I was like, okay, I think this is, because I'd said no, or I'd
Yeah,
said,
you
oh,
wanted
I
to
don't know,
wait,
I don't know.
and you thought you were dealing light with the pain, which you were. You didn't want to jump in prematurely, which is,
Yeah.
again,
I
like
also-
I said, pain strategy.
I also had no idea what time it was or how much time had passed because I didn't want to know, just to really be in the zone.
Okay.
Alright, we got a special guest. Where were we? Yes, it was decided I was keen to get in the pool at this point, but yeah, our midwife suggested I go to the toilet first, just so I didn't have to like get up, you know, later. So I did that. I don't want to get into too much detail.
Well, you got up, and as you walked over, your waters broke.
Oh, yes, that's right. So, I got up, I threw up. I started to feel nauseous when I stood up. So I threw up. And then like probably 30 seconds later, not even, pop, and just gush.
Whatever.
It was like the movies. All down my pants, onto my Uggs. Yeah, it was pretty cool though, wasn't it? It was pretty cool. I was like, wow, that happened. That's awesome. And so yeah, went to the toilet, probably laboured there a little bit because like when you're in labour and having surgeries, you don't really want to keep moving during it. You want to just focus and be in the one spot. So yeah, that all happened about 6:15. And then by 6:30, I got into the pool. I was very excited to get in the pool. It was nice and warm. And just, it's a little bit of relief as well, like, because you're lighter, and I don't know. It was just another tool. Like, it was just another thing that we got to utilise.
Yeah. The next step in the pain.
Yeah, exactly.
The final step.
Yes, but at that point, I did not know that. I had no idea how long it'd still be. I just hoped it would only be a few more hours, maybe. I basically laboured there for another 2 hours. Just, yeah, going through the surges, breathing. At that point, I had to take the TENS machine off because you can't have it in the water, obviously. And I was just using my combs. I was moving kind of between positions. I sort of being on my back a little bit, and then I'd move, or like leaning over, more leaning over the pool or holding you as well, I think. Mentally, I was doing okay, but I was starting to just wonder like how long it was going to keep going, and I never thought at any point like I can't do this anymore or anything, which I'm really happy about. Like that's great.
A lot of that was also, it was fairly quick. Looking back at it.
Yeah.
Like there was always something progressing.
Yeah.
There was always something progressing.
Else to do, which was good.
Yeah.
So that was probably the longest I was in one spot in the pool. There was 2 hours. Wondering, kind of how long it was going to keep going. And I also, at this point, I hadn't had any checks either. I think one of our midwives asked, but I had declined a couple times. I tried to tell myself, like, as in I tried to have a little feel and see if I could feel a head or anything. But I really did not know what I was kind of looking for. And so I didn't really know.
That's TMI.
That's TMI. That's what, this is a birth story. You weren't aware. That's what you're watching. After 2 hours, it was decided it would be a good idea for me to go to the toilet again. It'd been a while, and it's good to just like not have a full bladder at all, so that there's more space for the baby to come down.
Well, pee to try and keep infection off as well, I think.
So I did that, and then at that point it was 8:30 p.m. So we're getting to the pointy end of things. So I go to the toilet. Then we decided, this is a good time. We're ready. Let's do a little check. So one of the midwives, one of the midwives had a little look.
So she went and she pretty much said she felt ahead, and that the baby's going to be born very soon. So she said basically write out the surge on the toilet, and then we'll go to the bath, the pool, and have a baby.
I just remember her saying, do you want to go back? Do you want to go to the pool, have your baby? And I was like, yes, please.
Time to have a baby.
Let's do it. So that was so exciting. That was like, yay! We made it through the labour part, and we were ready for the pushing stage. So then I basically, you'll see in my birth vlog, but race back, basically jump into the pool. And then proceeded to push. So pushing phase was about 30 minutes. So from 8:30, she was born at 9:02 p.m.
9:04.
What's that?
Yeah.
9:04. Are you sure?
Yeah. 9:04.
Oh, true. Well, her head, anyway. Head and body come out at slightly different times, if you didn't know that. So her head was born in the water, and then I actually ended up standing in the pool because I think her cord was sort of around her legs. It was kind of holding her a little bit.
Oh, around her chest,
Oh, her chest.
So she just she wasn't able to turn as easily, as freely.
Yeah. So one of our midwives helped me, and she just said on the next contraction, just sort of push for the body. And so I pushed, and she helped me, and Adeline just flew out into the water.
Yeah, absolutely. Shot out into the water.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Caught by the midwife.
Yes.
Thank goodness.
It's all a blur for me. I just remember sort of getting her put on me, and I sat back on the pool and had cuddles and rubbed her, and she started crying and looked at you, and you were emotional and we were emotional, and it was like, wow, I can't believe we did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She was the most perfect little babe.
She started crying just a little bit after about a minute or two.
Oh, it was probably only like 10 seconds.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So 9:04 on the Wednesday night.
It's about 7 hours active labour.
Yes. So then obviously there's placenta, so that came about 20 minutes later. I pushed that out in the pool as well. Wasn't much of an effort, after her. What else should we say to wrap this one up? Because this is part 1 of the 2.
So I think our midwives helped us to our bed where we had set up, and just to do all the post-birth stuff.
That's what you want for home birth, is to be tucked into bed. Your own bed after having your baby. And then you had some skin to skin as well.
Yeah, you had some skin to skin.
That was great.
But No,
Oh, I
that
forgot
was-
one fun little
Oh, yeah.
fact is early on when I was in labour, didn't someone knock on the door?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, very early on.
I thought that it was one of the midwives arriving already, and I was like, that's really quick.
Yeah.
And then...
But it was not a door-to-door salesman, but like a real estate agent asking whether we wanted to sell our house or buy a house, and I just sort of said it's not a good time.
Yeah,
My
you
wife's
said-
in labour, and I
Yeah.
just shut the door.
Yeah, and I just remember hearing that. I remember hearing the knock and then hearing that conversation and just thinking, this is
Yeah.
hilarious. What a story. What a story.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we
Yeah.
had our little Adeline in our
Yeah.
lives.
And that's a birth story.
We've loved it ever since.
And that's not even the most eventful.
Yeah, we had a very eventful
Day.
few days after. So, stay
Yeah.
tuned for part 2
Yeah.
coming soon.
Yeah.
Alright, thanks guys for watching. I appreciate your support. Yeah, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!
Bye.